So we're moving on. This is Bella Luce 2012 Ferrari Carano, but the label is a departure from the Ferrari Carano label that people are familiar with. Can you tell us a little bit about the wine and why it's labeled differently?
Okay, it was something that Dawn and Rhonda came to me and they wanted to make something different. And it was quite a few years ago. We've made this wine for over 3 years now. And it was something that in our tasting room, we always had these single vineyard wines. We had a single vineyard Muscat Canelli, we had a single vineyard Viognier, we had a single vineyard Semillon. We had all these little wines that were just all these little things that people would come to the tasting room and be able to have a little bit of each. Dawn came to me a few years ago and said, I want you to create a wine that you can have a fun, blend something, create something. And I want it Muscat based. I want a pretty floral wine. I'm like, okay, let's kind of wrap my head around what am I going to do.
A loose mandate.
Yeah, so it was like just have fun, be creative. And so what we ended up doing is I took a Chardonnay. It was an Ontave 809 clone, which is a very floral Muscat clone of Chardonnay, and I tank fermented all of that wine, and I really cold fermentation, trying to capture the essence of that floral Muscat Chardonnay. Then I took some Sauvignon Muscat, which is a clone of Sauvignon Blanc that has a more of a cantaloupe kind of melon, kind of floral characteristics. Tank fermented that. And then I sat there with the Viognier, the Muscat Canelli, the Chardonnay and the Sauvignon Muscat, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Blanc, and kind of just sat there and kind of worked and kind of played with the blend and ended up creating a blend that is a pretty wine. It's pretty, it's floral, it's Muscat, nice acidity, brightness on the wine as well, but a little bit more softness and viscosity to the wine. It is a little bit off dry, but you can't really tell because there's such great acidity that I think it's really nicely balanced with that. So
the sugar just adds a little roundness and pumps up the fruity quality of the wine a little bit. So this is a wine that must undergo a lot of tasting trials every vintage as you try to adjust all these tiny little amounts of everything.
Yeah, and it's been fun. It's the feedback has been wonderful because it is really a fun wine to pair food with because it's so unique. And I think that every vintage might be a little bit different based on the vintage and Mother Nature. If the Muscat Canelli or something just is a little bit more on the Viognier. If there's a little bit more tannins or the structure on the palate on the finish, I'll back off on the Viognier, and depending on how it goes, it'll be different every year. But it'll be fun. It's been 3 years of making this wine, and the feedback has been different.
So it's really barely off dry. I mean, the vast majority of people are not going to say, "Oh, this is sweet. There's sugar in this." It really comes off as a dry wine. It has that little extra bit of weight that you can feel. Very floral.
It's also got the floral characteristics, but this is the 2012, so it's got that tropical floral. There is that peachy kind of character that comes from the vintage. Yeah, so it's definitely more of that tropical floral character that's coming through. So.
And what are you pairing this wine with? What are we eating?
It's all over the board. I've had people say they love it with oysters. I've heard it with their pool. I've heard it with their porch.
It's an any place wine? Is that what you're saying?
I've heard it called a yacht wine too.
Can we test that theory?
I would love to.
We need a yacht immediately, please.
Yacht wine. But just a lot of Asian foods as well. It's a lot of salads. A lot of people are doing a lot of salads and light pastas through the summer. I think it's a great summer wine, really refreshing, and it's been good. So.
What's the alcohol content of this?
It's low because Muscat Canelli you pick really low. Semillon we don't pick very ripe. I think it's 13.8, 13.7, so it's not too high.
Easy to drink.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Fun to make.
Fun to make. Great. A lot of fun to make. So.